What's some advice that you should have taken, but you never did?
Oh,
That's a good question.
yeah, that's...
Where was that when we had a job?
I know. Oh, man. I think one of the things that really defined, and I think you guys having worked in music can relate to this, but when we were getting started in the early 2000s, the idea of selling out was a huge, it was like this, you'd been branded with something. And I felt like for a long time, we all lived in abject fear of that idea of being a sellout in music. And what that ended up doing for a number of years, I'd say all through the 1990s, especially, it was just, you know, everything had to be this like super tight line. You couldn't move out of your lane kind of thing. And I feel like that really set us back, not just us, but a lot of bands, at a time where we should have just been like blowing the doors open and trying different things. And instead we just sort of, you know, if you did one thing and you were known for that, then God forbid you should, you know, you were a sellout and tried to do this or tried to do that, or, you know, and I feel like that's completely counter to how I see creativity in a healthy way these days. And I think we spend a number of years kind of trying to break out of that, the fact that we felt like we had to just sort of adhere to this one definition of who we were. And it took albums and years and tours to kind of help to get rid of some of the damage I think that does.
Now, was that because was that a you thing, or was that like a music label thing?
I think that, no, it wasn't the label. I think it was a culture-wide thing in terms of music back then, you know? It was everybody just walked in fear of being branded a sellout, and you get sellout for anything. You be a sellout for having your song on a TV commercial. You know, I mean, we actually said to think of that now. You know, oh, this car company wants to put your song in. We're like, we've said yes before the sentence is even over at this point. Yeah. You know, but back then I was like, no, I can't do that. Can't do this. Right. Can't do that. You end up turning down a lot of opportunities that could, you know, that could have, I don't know, reshaped things, so to speak. But more than that, it's just sort of allowing yourself to be defined by the fear of being called out for something, you know. And I think that we kind of grew up in that culture music-wise, and I think finally feeling like we've fought back enough to have shaped our own version or definition of who we are, you know.
It's crazy how much fear influences like every aspect of your life, you know. Like I feel like the bulk of life is just conquering fears, and you need fear. Like being scared is a good thing, you know. It's a defense mechanism for a reason. But something as simple as that, like it was a fear that you couldn't overcome until later in your career. And if you would have overcome it earlier, you could have been in 9 Nissan commercials.
Exactly. You know, the dream, just the dream. You're so right though. You know, I think and it's weird that all this fear, it's not fear of a leopard coming out of the, you know, like legitimate fear of being hauled up a tree and eaten by a wild animal, you know. Right. This is, it's all driven by our interaction, our relationship with our fellow human beings, you know, and so much of it exists not as a sort of physical reality. It exists, you know, in your own mind, and how much time we spend preoccupied with those things and how much energy we spend trying to overcome that. And, you know, that's something that as you get older, thankfully, I feel like it eases off. But man, when you're getting started, you're just so worried about what everybody thinks of you, that I think if there's one thing that you can kind of go back and relive, it's just, man, I wish I could live with all those years and just without that preoccupation.